What's up, guys? So today I'm gonna take apart my A5. After I filmed some videos yesterday, I wanted to measure the lightened valve spring that came with this kit. I wanted to see the thickness of it. So I took it apart yesterday. I figured out that the valve spring, the thickness of the spring is 1.1 millimeters, and my stock valve spring, the thickness is 1.2 millimeters, like the gauge of this wire. So the one inside currently, which is the one I've been using in most of my videos, is 1.1 millimeters thickness, and it's 10.3 millimeters wide or outside diameter, which is like 3/16 of an inch. So basically, I just wanted to see how thick that internal valve spring was. Consider buying a 1 millimeter. Now that I know the thickness of the gauge, get a 1 millimeter spring by 10 millimeter outside diameter, and then cut it. And it just coincidentally, my Spider Rodeo, the main drive spring, is a 10 millimeter outside diameter, and I have to check the thickness of these. This is a Warrior Spider Warrior spring kit. It was available from my local shop, Ann's Gear, for like $5. But these are for my Spider, like the main spring that pulls the hammer and bolt back and forth. I was using this super thick spring that I bought from Amazon. I think this is 1.2 millimeters, the thickness of this. I had to check what these are. But I'm probably going to chop one of these and put it in my valve spring area on my A5. Just cut it to whatever length I need. But I'm going to get my caliper and check those sizes pretty soon. But the reason I'm doing this is because I put everything back together. My valve O-ring looked a little bit suspect. Like it might have been, one side was a little bit flat, but the other side was like frosted over. Like it looked like it was getting cold, like frostbitten rubber. I'm sure you guys have seen that. So, or you're kind of familiar with what I'm talking about. Like the O-ring basically just goes bad. So it looked kind of suspect. So I put it back together, and then I ran a remote line on the ASA, aired it up, and I heard a hiss. And it sounded like it was coming from this area. And so yeah, I'm going to see if I have an O-ring from my Harbor Freight kits that will fit that. The O-ring that, like the actual O-ring that goes on this, I have a part number and stuff. I'll link it or put it right here in text or something. But it's only like $1 for like the actual O-ring. So if I do not have an O-ring that fits this from this kit, I could just buy one for $1. And my local store, Ann's Gear, has them in stock. So I'm just gonna dismantle this thing, show you guys the measurement on that valve spring, like the thickness of the gauge of the wire, try to plug in a new O-ring, or my valve O-ring is, and I'll probably just refilm once I have most of these screws off, because I got to take this part off. I bought this on eBay. It's kind of like an offset rail adapter, because there's a dovetail rail on top of the A5. But yeah, I'm gonna re-record once I take most of this stuff apart. I guess I'll just break it down pretty easy. So what you need to take this apart is you need a sort of long 3/16 Allen key for 2 of the screws, or these hex head bolts, and you need a 1/8 Allen key for a majority of them. And if you have the cyclone feed system on yours, which you probably do, you need a flathead screwdriver to remove this screw right here. So I usually start with this first. There is an O-ring on the bottom part of this, so just be mindful of its location. It's against the body and the bottom of this screw, so it shouldn't come off that easily. So I have that off. It won't come off yet though, that cyclone feeder, because this bolt is holding it in. So that's where you need the 3/16 Allen key for that. So just take that part off, pull it out, and then you can take off your cyclone feeder at that point. So I'm just gonna hold the back because I loosened it. I loosened this adapter piece for the cyclone feed system. So it should just lift out pretty easily. It just lifted out. My O-ring for this screw piece is right there. It's just a black O-ring, so it's on here. So just make sure that there's an O-ring on that. And if it could be resting on here, or when you take it off, it'll fall off on your mat or your t-shirt, whatever you got underneath your A5. After I do that, I usually take off the handle. So there's a screw in here, or a bolt in here, 3/16. You kind of need like a longer one. This one's barely long enough to fit in there and make clearance for the handle. So if I have another set of Allen keys and it's too short to fit down this foregrip, and this won't come out yet, but I can take out the screw. So the screw's out. You need to remove this front Allen screw to take the foregrip off, because there's a little like hooked part of the plastic snag behind here. So just take this part off. That's out. This should come out now, so you can remove that. I've taken this one apart a lot of times, so I kind of know where all these screws go, but I usually just line them up over here, and I'll show you my lineup. So now we can pop off all the pins. There's 4 pins, 1, 2, 3, 4. You just pop them out from the back. They have like a little spring, like a little spring nub, like a quick access kind of thing. So you just kind of push them from the other side, and they come out, and they're all the same length. So you don't need to worry about having the wrong one in the wrong spot or whatever. They're all the same thickness, all the same length. So yeah, these are all the pins with all of them that have that little like spring, retention spring thingy on them. So you can just put those like over there. Next, I removed the trigger and stuff. This just pulls down, and then you have to loosen this. It's sort of like an ASA, but it's on the bottom like a tank thread thing. So you can just spin this around, hold on to this part that I'm holding, spin it around, and then it should come off pretty soon. So that's off. There's just, sear springs and your sear and stuff, so that the hammer recocks and everything. So this is the front, and then now I just have 1/8" Allen keys to or Allen head screws to remove. So there's 5 of these total, and I already took one off. So there's 2 on the ends, and then there's 2 right here. So there's 6. Yeah, I can't count today. And these are all the same length, and these are all the same thread and thickness and everything. So you can put them wherever you want. You just remember that you can't put these where the pins go, so you don't have to worry about like something stupid like that happening. And once you pull these off, we're pretty much inside the guts. So I'm just gonna loosen these. Shouldn't take that long. And yeah, you guys can just fast forward this, or maybe like double speed watch it or whatever. So those 2 are out. This one's out, and then this one's out. All right, those are out. So this should come apart now. You can just pull it. There's a nut in here. This will come off, and this will come off. And there's a spring right here for the charge handle. You don't really have to worry about it that much. You can pull your back cap off because they remove the pins from it. I usually just get my finger in here and just kind of pry it apart. So it's already came apart. And then yeah, that's pretty much it. This is empty. There shouldn't be anything in here on the right, or the left side. of the shell. There shouldn't be anything in there. So you can just take off your front sight, take off your rear sight, take your charge handle out of here with the spring. And then this is your barrel thread adapter, because the barrel doesn't actually like thread into anything on the shell. It threads into this. And you just put that over there. The little nut came off the bottom right here, and that is for the foregrip. The screw that goes inside the foregrip goes straight up in here. This is your detent. So yeah, this is the tombstone adapter. This is what I unscrewed this is what came off from the trigger assembly and the handle. So yeah, pretty much you can take your hammer up, pull the bolt and leverage arm, I think this is called, actuator arm. Just put it up here. When I took this apart yesterday, I re-greased everything, and it looked pretty fine. There was no random defects or anything. This is the bolt that the Jersey guy gave me. It has this O-ring on the inside. The factory bolt did not have an O-ring inside. So a little bit of air is kept going out the front of the barrel, and it gave me like 1 joule extra power. So this is the valve O-ring I got to get to. It looks a little bit like smashed right here. I'm not sure if the camera's going to be able to pick it up very well. Like right in the front, there's kind of like, it's kind of misshapen a little bit. So I'm going to try to use this, but if it doesn't work, I'll just get a replacement one. So the way to push this thing out, this is plastic, this power tube, this is plastic, so you don't really want to like, you don't want to get like a screwdriver or something and like do like this kind of thing with it, because you'll probably end up snapping your power tube. So what I usually do is I'll get like a dowel or something, skinny dowel. I'm just using a wooden chopstick, and I push it through the front of the power tube, and just, you know, barely push it down a little bit at a time, and then your valve will come out. This is the valve. This is the power tube. This is empty now. It has the velocity adjuster on the side. So yeah, oiled and greased everything right here. You can see there's a little bit of like damage or something on this O-ring. So I'm gonna take this O-ring off and I'll look at it. Maybe I can get it to work again. I don't think I'll be able to, but I'll show you guys the back of it, which is the part that looked damaged from CO2. Because yeah, it looked like frosted over a little bit. So that came out, and then in here is the guts. So there's a washer, there's a spring, then there's a cup seal, and the pin is pushing this front part out. There's also a brass washer and another O-ring in there, but I'm pretty sure that's fine. I'll try taking it apart later, but yeah, this will only go in one way. If this pin isn't sticking out the back, you got it in backwards. So this just drops in, and then you drop the spring in afterwards. You put the washer on, and then you put the valve O-ring on top of that. It's just like a little sandwich of stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna show you guys the measurement on this thing. I'm pretty sure it was like 1.1. I'm just putting all these valve pieces to the side, and I need to show you guys the O-ring. So this was the O-ring that was in there. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it on camera, but this edge is a little bit messed up. Like it's kind of like flattened out a little bit. And the rear of this, yesterday it looked worse. Today doesn't look that bad, but it is a little bit kind of brittle looking and like frosty. So this might still be okay. I'll probably just flip the O-ring around and see if I get a leak. So I'll put this back together, but I'm gonna get my caliper first and show you guys the measurement on that valve spring. All right, got my caliper. I bought this Tippmann A5 used. I have my supposed factory valve spring over there. So this is the one that came from the kit. This is the one I've been using in my videos. Aside from when I barely showed off the A5 with all the stock parts in it. So let me set this to metric. So yeah, it's pretty much 1.1 millimeters. I tried kind of like fiddling around with this, like changing the angle and stuff, but it was pretty much coming out 1.1 all the time. 1.1 millimeters thickness. And I believe it's 3/4 inch long. Pretty much 3/4 of an inch long. This has been compressed a tiny bit. And then when I looked up the fractional equivalent of this, the width, it's 3/16. But it's hard to get. It's basically a metric wire, but with standard outside diameter, standard measured outside diameter and the length. So yeah, 3/4 long, 3/4 of an inch long. I believe it's 3/16 thickness, and then 1.1 millimeter gauge, wire gauge. So I'm gonna try 1.0 millimeter by 10 millimeter outside diameter, because 0.3 millimeters isn't much. So these other paintball springs I have right here from my Spider, these are 10 millimeters across. Oh, they're a little bit skinnier. All right, maybe I will have to get a an actual 10 millimeter spring. This might work, but I want to check the thickness of this. So this is almost the same. It's a 9 millimeter outside diameter, and this is obviously super long, but I can cut this with some wire snips or with a Dremel cutting wheel. So this could possibly work. I don't have to possibly don't have to buy a spring, but I probably will, because I'm gonna eventually make an Amazon order for some stuff. So yeah, 9 millimeters. This won't fit ideal, but it would work possibly. So basically the main part is that it would have to fit around this cup seat, and it's not. So I would probably have to get a 10 millimeter outside diameter spring, because it's not wanting to slide over this. So that's out the bag right now, so can't do that. So yeah, I'll probably get a 10 millimeter outside diameter spring by 1 millimeter thickness, and probably like a 0.9 millimeter thickness. Try messing with those, see what that does. I'll flip this O-ring around and try to see if that'll work. I think you can see that flattened side right here on the camera now, that the angle's a little bit different. So yeah, I'm gonna flip this around and then reassemble it, and I'll air it up and see what happens. All right, you guys, before you put everything back together, you want to make sure that your spring is catching on this little ridge right here. So it doesn't have to be flush or anything, because the other side of the shell will push it down and flatten it out, but just make sure that it's catching right there on that edge. And then your charge handle arm, there's a slit down here, and it goes around the actuator that connects the bolt and the hammer, striking hammer. So there's a little slit in there where you should be able to pull this, and it rides along the this arm up here. Don't forget to put your detent in here, and don't forget to put your nut down here, and make sure your sights are in here, front and back, and your tombstone adapters in your power tube. It's pretty much the main things you got to be aware of before you put this all back together. Sometimes this spring, when I first started tearing it apart, this spring was popping off all the time, and I gotten used to putting this back together now, so it's not as bad. So I usually just line up the charge handle with this front and then push it down slowly, and you'll hear it kind of click in place, and we're good. So if that spring comes out, you just got to take it apart, like pull the shell off, put everything back, make sure your detent and all that stuff is there, and then reassemble it. So I'm just going to tighten all these screws down. I don't think you guys want to watch this for another like 3 minutes. Forgot to put my barrel thread adapter in the front. So luckily I'll need to tighten down 2 of the outside screws, and I was like, wait a minute, something's not here. So yeah, that was one thing I forgot to mention. I'm going to take that out, put the nut back down here. So yeah, important, very important piece. If you don't have that, you don't have a barrel. So I'll be right back. All right, you guys, got my air valve. It's not aired up yet, but I pulled the charge handle, pulled the trigger. It's cycling. I'm going to air it up right now, see if I hear that hiss leak again. There's nothing in this. It's not loaded. But yeah, I'm turning on the air valve right now. So I do not hear any hissing anymore. I'll fire this just to see what it does, but I'm pretty sure it's fine. So yeah, flipping over the valve O-ring worked. I didn't need to go into my little goodies of my Harbor Freight O-rings over here, but yeah, so that worked. Eventually I'm gonna have to change that O-ring though, and then I will go into those Harbor Freight kit and look for one that fits or matches. Should have did it while I had it open, but I'm going to be opening this up quite a bit in the future, so I'm just going to degas. So yeah, no more air. I'm using my tank that has like just barely over 1,000 psi left. Yeah, like 1,000. So I like to keep some air in it just so I can diagnose things, and I don't have to use a brand new air tank that I would rather use for, you know, firing stuff, shooting things outside. But yeah, 1.1 millimeter light valve spring, 1.1 thickness. So I have to look on some websites. I'm still going to order the main drive spring. That drive spring that I can find on Amazon is 1 millimeter wire gauge thickness and 5 millimeters outside diameter. I'm probably just going to cut one to fit. I think the stock one is like 100 millimeters or like 110 millimeters or something. So I'm going to start out kind of long, and then it'll compress itself and work itself in, break it in, and it'll get shorter and shorter. But yeah, I like to start off, if I make a spring, like a custom spring or just custom length, I'll start it off kind of big and then use it, and it'll kind of, you know, wear in a little bit, and then the spring will be back to where it should be, or like it won't get all bound up or anything from the marker cycling it. So yeah, decent little kit. I just bought this to see what sizes they are, what thickness gauge wire they are, and then you know, go from there. So in the end, I'm probably not going to end up using this. I might end up using this if the springs I buy don't do any better performance wise for what I'm doing with this, which is, you know, using this for home defense or yeah, home defense, self-defense, kind of riot control kind of stuff, or just out on the ranch making coyotes go away and stuff. So thanks for checking it out, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time.